Hello, listeners. We'll continue reading the book Ikigai. I'm in chapter 4. Then we'll just start with. Yep. As soon as you take these first small steps, your anxiety will disappear and you will achieve a pleasant flow in the activity you are doing. Getting back to Albert Einstein, a happy man is too satisfied with the present to dwell on the future. Value objective, clearly defined objective and focus on process, objective desire to achieve a goal while ignoring process. Vague objective, confusion, time and energy wasted on meaningless tasks, mental block. Clearly defined objective and a focus on process, flow. Obsessive desire to achieve a goal while ignoring process, fixation on the objective rather than getting down to business, again, mental block. Strategy 3. Concentrate on a single task. This is perhaps one of the greatest obstacles we face today, with so much technology and so many distractions. We are listening to a video on YouTube while writing an email when suddenly a chat prompt pops up and we answer it. Then our smartphone vibrates in our pocket just as soon as we respond to that message. We are back at our computer logging on to Facebook. Pretty soon, 30 minutes have passed and we have forgotten what the email we were writing was supposed to be about. This also happens sometimes when we put on a movie with dinner and don't realize how delicious the salmon was until we are taking the last bite. We often think that combining tasks will save us time, but scientific evidence shows that it has the opposite effect. Even those who claim to be good as multitasking are not very productive. In fact, they are some of the least productive people. Our brains can take in millions of bits of information but can only actually process a few dozen per second. When we say we are multitasking, what we are really doing is switching back and forth between tasks very quickly. Unfortunately, we are not computers adept at parallel processing. We end up spending all our energy alternating between tasks instead of focusing on doing one of them well. Concentrating on one thing at a time may be the single most important factor in achieving flow. According to Mihai, in order to focus on a task we need 1. To be in a distraction-free environment. 2. To have control over what we are doing at every moment. Technology is great if we are in control of it. It's not so great if it takes control on us. For example, if you have to write a research paper, you might sit down at your computer and use Google to look up the information you need. However, if you are not very disciplined, you might end up surfing the web instead of writing that paper. In that case, Google and the internet will have taken over, pulling you out of your state of flow. It has been scientifically shown that if we continually ask our brains to switch back and forth between tasks, we waste time, make more mistakes, and remember less of what we have done. Several studies conducted at Stanford University by Clifford Ivernass describe our generation as suffering from an epidemic of multitasking. One such study analyzed the behavior of hundreds of students, dividing them into groups based on the number of things they tended to do at once. The students who were the most addicted to multitasking typically alternated among more than 4 tasks, for example, taking notes while reading a textbook, listening to a podcast, answering messages on their smartphone, and sometimes checking their Twitter timeline. Each group of students was shown a screen with several red and several blue arrows. The objective of the exercise was to count the red arrows. At first, all the students answered correctly right away without much trouble. As the number of blue arrows increased, the number of red arrows stayed the same, only their position changed. However, the students accustomed to multitasking had serious trouble counting the red arrows in the time allotted, or as quickly as the students who did not habitually multitask, for one very simple reason: they got distracted by the blue arrows. Their brains were trained to pay attention to every stimulus regardless of its importance, while the brains of other students were trained to focus on a single task. In this case, counting the red arrows and ignoring the blue ones. Other studies indicate that working on several things at once lowers our productivity by at least 60% and our IQ by more than 10 points. One study funded by the Swedish Council for Working Life and Social Research found that a sample group of more than 4,000 young adults between the ages of 20 and 24 who were addicted to their smartphones got less sleep, felt less connected to their community at school, and were more likely to show signs of depression. That's very sad. Concentrating on a single task versus multitasking. Concentrating on a single task makes achieving flow more likely, whereas multitasking makes achieving flow impossible. Concentrating on a single task increases productivity, whereas multitasking decreases productivity by 60%, though it doesn't seem to. Concentrating on a single task increases our power of retention, whereas multitasking makes it harder to remember things. Concentrating on a single task makes us less likely to make mistakes. Multitasking makes us more likely to make mistakes. Concentrating on a single task helps us feel calm and in control of the task in hand. Multitasking makes us feel stressed by the sensation that we are losing control, that our tasks are controlling us. Concentrating on a single task causes us to become more considerate as we pay full attention to those around us. Multitasking causes us to hurt those around us through our addiction to stimuli, always checking our phones, always on social media. Concentrating on a single task increases creativity, whereas multitasking reduces creativity.